Your soulmate needs to explain what happened last night. Last night, something shifted in your soulmate's world. They didn't expect it. They weren't looking for it. Yet, by the time the night was over, they realized they could no longer ignore what their heart has been trying to tell them for a very long time. All evening, they felt unusually restless. No matter what they were doing, their thoughts kept drifting somewhere else. It was as if an invisible force was urging them to slow down and pay attention to the emotions they had been pushing aside for months, perhaps even years. They tried distracting themselves. They watched videos, scrolled through their phone, and attempted to focus on everyday responsibilities. But nothing seemed to work. There was a strange heaviness in their chest, a feeling that something important was about to happen. At first, they couldn't understand why. Then, unexpectedly, they found themselves thinking about love, not the kind of temporary affection that fades with time, but the kind that transforms a person's life. They began asking themselves questions they had been avoiding for far too long. Am I truly ready for the love I've been asking the universe for? Have I healed enough from my past to welcome someone new into my life? Am I willing to be vulnerable again? The answers didn't come immediately. Your soulmate realized that behind their smile and confidence, they have been carrying emotional wounds they rarely speak about. There have been moments when they convinced themselves that protecting their heart was safer than risking disappointment. They have experienced misunderstandings, broken promises, and relationships that taught them difficult lessons. Somewhere along the way, they built emotional walls so high that even they began believing they didn't need anyone. But last night challenged everything they thought they knew about themselves. Later in the evening, they received an unexpected message or had a meaningful conversation that left a lasting impression on them. The topic eventually turned toward destiny, timing, and soul connections. Someone said something simple yet powerful. The right person will never ask you to become someone else. They will inspire you to become the best version of yourself. Those words stayed with them long after the conversation ended. For the first time in a long time, they stopped thinking about what could go wrong and began imagining what could go right. They imagined meeting someone who understands their silence without demanding explanations. Someone who appreciates both their strengths and imperfections. Someone who feels like home. Without realizing it, they were thinking about you. As midnight approached, their emotions became impossible to ignore. They found themselves looking back at every lesson life has taught them. They remembered the moments when they felt unworthy of receiving genuine love. They remembered choosing solitude because it seemed easier than risking heartbreak. They remembered telling themselves that love would come someday, but never believing that someday could actually arrive. Then something extraordinary happened. Unable to sleep, they stepped outside or simply sat quietly for a few moments. The world around them felt unusually peaceful. The night air carried a sense of calm they hadn't experienced in quite some time. For reasons they cannot fully explain, they made a silent promise to themselves. They promised that they would stop running from emotional growth. They promised that they would stop settling for situations that do not honor their worth. Most importantly, they promised that when true love finally enters their life, they will no longer allow fear to stand in the way. That promise changed everything. Eventually, exhaustion overtook them, and they drifted off to sleep. But what happened next is what they are struggling to explain. They had one of the most vivid dreams of their life. In this dream, they were walking through a beautiful place illuminated by soft golden light. Everything felt peaceful and familiar, despite never having seen it before. They sensed that someone was waiting for them. The closer they walked, the stronger their emotions became. Their heart began racing, not from fear, but from recognition. Standing before them was someone whose face they couldn't clearly see, yet they felt an undeniable connection. It was as though their soul already knew this person. Then they heard a voice gently say, "You don't have to be afraid anymore." Those words felt incredibly real. The voice continued, "Everything you've been through was preparing you for this chapter of your life." When they woke up early this morning, they couldn't stop thinking about the dream. Even now, they remember every emotion they experienced during those moments. They know dreams are often symbolic. Yet this one felt different. It left them with an overwhelming sense of hope, a feeling they haven't allowed themselves to experience in a very long time. Today, your soulmate carries a new understanding within their heart. They are no longer interested in repeating old patterns or holding on to fears that prevent them from embracing happiness. They are becoming someone who is ready to receive the love they have been praying for. And if they could speak directly to you right now, they would say this: "Something happened last night that changed me. I realized I don't want to spend another day pretending that I don't believe in the kind of love that feels destined. I am ready to open my heart to the future that has been waiting for me." Last night wasn't about losing something. It was about finally finding themselves. And this is only the beginning of their story. When your soulmate woke up this morning, they knew they weren't the same person who had gone to sleep the night before. Something within them had shifted in a way they could not fully explain. They sat quietly for several minutes, replaying every detail of their dream and every emotion they had experienced throughout the previous evening. It wasn't simply the dream itself that affected them, it was the feeling that remained after waking up. A feeling of peace, clarity, and unexpected excitement about the future. For so long, your soulmate has carried emotional baggage they rarely allow anyone to see. They have learned to appear strong even when they feel uncertain. They have become experts at hiding their fears behind smiles and reassuring words. But last night, they realized something important. They have spent far too much time preparing themselves for disappointment instead of preparing themselves for happiness. They have been waiting for the perfect moment to believe in love, not realizing that love often arrives when we stop trying to control every detail of our lives. Throughout the day, they noticed that little things began reminding them of the life they truly want to create. They found themselves smiling unexpectedly while thinking about their future. The worries that normally occupy their mind seemed quieter than usual. Then another realization began to surface. Your soulmate has been afraid, not of love itself, but of being truly seen by another person. They fear that someone might discover their insecurities, their mistakes, and the parts of themselves they have worked so hard to hide. They have asked themselves questions they would never admit aloud. What if I'm not enough? What if I give my heart and lose it again? What if I meet the right person at the wrong time? What if I disappoint the person I'm meant to be with? These fears have quietly influenced many of their choices over the years. Last night forced them to confront those fears honestly. They realized that healing does not mean becoming perfect before allowing yourself to love. Healing means accepting that you are worthy of love while continuing to grow. Perhaps the most emotional moment came when they admitted something they have been avoiding for a very long time. They are tired of pretending that they don't desire a deep and meaningful connection. Your soulmate wants late-night conversations that last for hours. They want someone who understands their dreams and supports their growth. They want a relationship built upon honesty, trust, and mutual respect. Most of all, they want a love that feels safe. As these realizations unfolded, they began thinking about the kind of person they hope to meet someday. Surprisingly, the qualities that came to mind felt strangely familiar, as though their soul already recognizes the energy of the person meant for them. They imagined someone who values kindness over perfection. Someone who remains loyal during difficult seasons. Someone who sees love as a partnership rather than a temporary emotion. Someone who inspires them to become a better version of themselves every single day. And deep within their heart, they feel that this person is drawing closer with every passing moment. There is another truth they need to explain. Last night, before falling asleep, your soulmate almost sent a message they had written in their notes. It wasn't addressed to anyone specific. It was simply an honest expression of their heart. It read, "Dear future love, I don't know where you are or when we'll meet, but I hope life is being kind to you. I'm still learning, still growing, and still becoming the person I'm meant to be. I promise that when our paths finally cross, I will love you honestly and wholeheartedly." After writing those words, they became emotional. For years, they have secretly wondered whether the kind of connection they dream about truly exists. Last night, for the first time, they stopped doubting that possibility. Something inside them whispered, "Stop preparing for disappointment. Start preparing for love." That message has stayed with them all day. Your soulmate also realized that timing matters. There were moments in their past when they desperately wanted certain relationships to work, only to discover later that those experiences were preparing them for something greater. They now understand that every delay, every heartbreak, and every unanswered question has played an important role in shaping who they are today. Last night wasn't merely an emotional experience. It was a turning point. They are beginning to release the fears that once controlled their decisions. They are choosing to trust that life is unfolding exactly as it should. And if they could sit beside you right now, they would gently say, "Please know that whatever happened last night opened my eyes. I'm no longer afraid to believe that extraordinary things can happen when two souls are meant to find one another. I don't know exactly when our story begins, but I know I'm finally ready for it." Yet there is still something they haven't fully explained. Because later that same night, something happened that left them speechless, something that made them feel an undeniable emotional connection to the future that awaits them. And that revelation will change the way they view love forever. The deeper your soulmate reflects on last night, the more they realize it was never about a single moment, it was about everything that moment revealed within them. After writing the heartfelt message to their future love, they couldn't bring themselves to delete it. Instead, they read it several times, feeling emotions they had buried for far too long. For once, they allowed themselves to be honest. They admitted that they are tired of carrying the weight of old disappointments. They are tired of expecting people to leave. They are tired of convincing themselves that they must earn love by becoming someone else. For years, your soulmate has been stronger than most people realize. They have carried responsibilities, faced setbacks, and quietly healed from situations that few people know about. Whenever life became difficult, they told themselves, keep moving forward. Don't let anyone see you struggle. But strength can sometimes become a mask. Last night, that mask began to fall away. As they sat alone with their thoughts, they remembered all the times they settled for less than they deserved. Not only in relationships but also in the way they treated themselves. They gave love freely to others while denying themselves the same kindness and compassion. Then something unexpected happened. They opened an old photo, message, or journal entry from years ago. Looking back at who they once were, they felt emotional. They saw a version of themselves that had been waiting to feel understood, waiting to feel chosen, and waiting to believe that happiness was truly possible. In that moment, they realized something profound. They have spent so much time searching for signs from the universe that they forgot they, too, are someone worth finding. That realization brought tears to their eyes. For the first time in a very long time, your soulmate silently thanked themselves for surviving every difficult chapter of their life. They thanked themselves for not giving up when things became overwhelming. They thanked themselves for continuing to hope, even during seasons when hope felt impossible. Then came the moment they are struggling to explain. As they prepared to sleep, they looked up at the night sky and whispered a simple prayer. If love is truly meant for me, please help me become ready to receive it. There was nothing dramatic about the prayer. It was sincere, vulnerable, and spoken from the deepest part of their heart. The peace that followed surprised them. For reasons they cannot fully understand, they felt reassured that they are exactly where they need to be right now. They no longer feel pressured to rush their journey or compare their timeline to anyone else's. They are beginning to understand that some stories take time because they are meant to be extraordinary. Last night also taught them something important about soul connections. They no longer believe that true love is about rescuing another person or being rescued themselves. Instead, they believe it is about two people choosing one another while continuing to grow individually. Your soulmate doesn't want a perfect relationship. They want an honest one. They want someone who will laugh with them during life's happiest moments and remain beside them during difficult seasons. Someone who values communication, loyalty, and emotional maturity. More than anything, they want a connection that feels peaceful rather than complicated. There is another truth they wish to share. For a long time, they have carried guilt about their past mistakes. They have worried that the wrong choices they made years ago might somehow prevent them from experiencing the love they deserve. Last night helped them release that fear. They finally understood that growth is not about pretending the past never happened. Growth is about learning from it and allowing it to transform you into a wiser and more compassionate person. They are no longer ashamed of their journey. Every challenge has prepared them for the next chapter of their life. And now, something within them is awakening, a quiet confidence they haven't felt in years. They are beginning to trust themselves again. If they could speak directly to you today, these are the words they would want you to hear. Last night reminded me that my heart is still capable of believing in beautiful things. I realized that love isn't something I need to fear. It's something I need to welcome when the time is right. I'm no longer waiting for permission to be happy. But there is still one final piece of the story they haven't shared. Before they fell asleep, they made a promise so important that it may influence every relationship they experience moving forward. And when you discover what that promise was, you'll understand why last night changed everything for them. As the sun began to rise after that unforgettable night, your soulmate found themselves looking at life differently. They realized that what happened was never meant to frighten them, it was meant to awaken them. There was one final truth they had been avoiding for a very long time. They have been carrying emotional walls so high that even the people closest to them have never truly seen their heart. They became comfortable pretending that they didn't need anyone because needing someone always felt risky. Vulnerability felt dangerous. Trust felt difficult. But last night changed that. They came to understand that protecting their heart and imprisoning it are two very different things. Your soulmate has spent years protecting themselves from pain, only to discover that they have also been protecting themselves from joy. They closed doors that should have remained open. They walked away from opportunities because fear convinced them they weren't ready. Last night, they finally asked themselves an important question. What if the love I've been waiting for has been waiting for me, too? That single thought brought unexpected emotions to the surface. They began thinking about all the experiences that shaped them, the disappointments, unanswered prayers, and moments when life didn't go according to plan. Instead of feeling regret, they felt gratitude. Every difficult chapter had prepared them for the person they are becoming today. For the first time in years, they are no longer asking, "Why did this happen to me?" Instead, they are asking, "What is this teaching me?" They have learned that love is not something to chase desperately. Real love arrives when two people are ready to meet each other with honesty, kindness, and emotional maturity. Your soulmate is finally becoming that person. Last night also revealed something beautiful about their future. They realized they no longer want temporary connections or relationships built on uncertainty. They want consistency. They want communication. They want a relationship that feels peaceful, supportive, and genuine. They are no longer interested in pretending to be someone they are not simply to gain acceptance. The right person will never require that sacrifice. As they reflected on everything they experienced, they made another promise to themselves. I will never apologize for having a good heart. I will never lower my standards simply because I am afraid of being alone. I will wait for what feels right, no matter how long it takes. That promise brought them a sense of freedom they have not felt in years. Something else happened last night that they haven't fully admitted, even to themselves. They smiled while imagining their future. Not because they know exactly what it looks like, but because they are no longer afraid of it. They imagined waking up beside someone who respects their dreams. They imagined building a life filled with laughter, trust, and shared experiences. They imagined a connection that feels effortless because it is built upon mutual understanding rather than constant struggle. And for once, those dreams didn't feel impossible. Your soulmate wants you to know that whatever happened last night was not dramatic or magical in the traditional sense. It was something much more meaningful. They found hope again. They remembered who they are beneath their fears and insecurities. They remembered that their heart still believes in beautiful beginnings. If they could speak directly to you right now, they would say, "Last night taught me that I am worthy of the kind of love I have always dreamed about. I don't need to rush my journey or compare my story to anyone else's. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should." They are stepping into a new chapter of their life with greater confidence, greater peace, and greater trust in the future.